So here we are. I'm with Christo Geyer, as you can see, and I'm with Bobesi, a very experienced mountain biker. How's it, Christo? Thanks for joining us.
Nice to be here. Thanks, Paul.
Lekker. So Christo is your typical A-type South African. On the road all the time for business. Work. When it's not, it's play, because he loves his bike riding. Road and mountain. He spends a lot of time riding. He loves tech. So Christo, you've been playing with this unit for a few weeks. Tell us just in a nutshell, you were used to using a wrist sensor for most years, or a wrist unit. You've now gone over to the bar-mounted unit. It's not the highest end one with a touchscreen, but you were telling us earlier after your ride that you just love it.
Yeah, Paul, thanks for the opportunity. First of all, I would begin by saying my favorite device is my Phoenix. I've had it for many years. I normally ride with that only on the bars and set up a scrolling series of screens in order to show the relevant data. And so certainly in contrast, the first and obvious comment to make is that the larger screen and the better graphics is a fantastic change. I really enjoyed that.
Especially for guys our age.
Quite right. And you're able to put everything on one screen and obviously still set up scrolling screens as opposed to having to squint. So I've been riding with it for a few weeks now. With all Garmin devices, and certainly it begins with the unboxing. It's always a pleasant experience. Everything in the box is in the box that you need, and the unit just looks great. Setting it up was pretty easy. Obviously, I'm familiar with the Garmin software, the app on the phone, so that setup process took a few moments.
Garmin Connect.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you. And pairing up with the heart, the Garmin strap, etc. It's all very simple. Then getting it on the bike, it's really an enjoyable and an easy experience to. On the first ride.
Set up and go. A bit like in the old days, it was always so much tech. Check this, check that, sync this. Nowadays, it's literally turn on, plug into your existing system and start riding.
And so the way I've been using it is to have both devices on the bars. So my data geek reputation has been enhanced or even further. And so that it's been very useful to compare the two sort of in real time. I've really enjoyed that. Then the next point, obviously, just to make about, I think most Garmin products, but this one in particular, is the battery life. It really is superb. On a 3-day weekend away, I didn't have to charge it, and there was 3 long days of riding. Of course, it's being the battery life being boosted by the sunlight.
Yeah, the solar power. That's fascinating, isn't it? Yeah. Isn't it amazing that we're moving into that era? Huh?
Yeah. So when you switch on the device, it shows you the intensity of the sun at that particular point in time, and also it gives you a running count of how many minutes of battery or of on time you've gained during a ride by virtue of the sun energy. So that's really, so certainly battery life, it's superb. Then the next point I would make is the push buttons. When it comes to these devices, I definitely am somebody that thinks that that's better than touch screen. I know there are kind of different schools of thought. But for me, certainly the perspiration and all the issue of riding in rain and the touchscreen sensitivity, I know that the quality of the screens are improving all the time, so it's probably becoming less of an issue. But my concern is always if you you can't quite see what you're doing and you fast descent or whatever, you might just touch the wrong part of the screen, then you're in the wrong menu or whatever.
Yeah.
So in both the Phoenix and the 540, just for me, it's just fantastic. The buttons have got exactly the right level of resistance. When you've pushed it, you know that it's clicked. It does what you think it's going to do. The layout of the buttons, for somebody, I guess, who's familiar with the Garmin devices, very simple to learn which button does what. They are intuitive. The graphic display, again, as I said earlier, is excellent. And
can you lighten it and brighten it? I mean, is it?
Yeah, it's really fantastic. There's, we joked earlier about the eyesight at current age.
Yeah. And also when the light changes so much, we have dark weather in winter.
We've had extreme conditions in Cape Town the last few weeks, and from bright sunshine to really early morning rides. I certainly can say that even without having consciously adjusted the screen, I never struggled to see the information that I was looking for. And then the next point I would make is just the functionality and the data items that are displayed.
Yeah, I mean, this is where it gets really interesting for me, is that, people have coaches. You've got to download your information, you've got to send it to the coach. Coach has got to say, look, I see you improving in this area, send me this files exchange. But actually the coach is sitting right on your handlebars here, because they've got all the algorithms that say, your heart rate's coming down while you're climbing the same same route at the same pace, that means you're getting fitter, you're improving. And also on the route, you know what's coming up. The fact that it can tell you what's coming up ahead of you means don't burn matches now. So if you were in a race, you'd say, well, can I afford to go hard now? Or actually, I've got a big climb coming up, I'm not. And I mean, that's the kind of thing that, to think in our youth, that would have been far-fetched. You wouldn't ever believe that was possible.
The navigation functionality is superb. We had a few days away in Plet and we're riding sort of trails that none of us really knew.
Is that all the new Kenbrogi and all the rest?
Yes,
Yeah,
but
apparently some great stuff there.
Some of it also a bit more kind of off-piste.
Okay.
And we had downloaded the Garmin files, and funny enough, a few of the other devices did get us lost, but I really can say every single time the quality and detail on this particular device got us 3 or 4 times. We were able to realize very quickly we've gone down the wrong path or we should have turned around. So,
especially in those forests there, I mean, it all looks the same.
So just to make the point that the navigation, everything to do with the navigation, the course programs, whatever, is superb. And also your point about showing you what climbs are ahead. The Phoenix does the same thing, but here again, just you've got the bigger screen and it's exceptional detail, richness of detail. And as you're going up the climb, it tracks your progress and it warns you, this is climb 5 of 7 for the day.
And you might be going too hard.
Absolutely.
Because it knows you intimately. Every heartbeat, every pedal stroke and every session is in there. I mean, that's the beauty of it. This coach is not the one who's ignoring you every second session. This is watching you every pedal stroke of your life. Look,
we were only together for 3 weeks, but I think it did get to know me rather intimately.
That's great.
Yes, and then, your point about the training data, absolutely anything that you can think of, this device measures. Again, the synchronization in terms of, via Garmin Connect with any other databases or analysis platforms when you look at the data is so simple. It's the first time I have encountered grit and flow, which are 2 Garmin measures that essentially measure the toughness or the effort you're putting in, and then the flow is particularly on trails, the relationship between the smoothness of your riding and the watts that are going into it. And certainly those are just 2 for me new measures that I've not encountered before, and I am mad about the data, as you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
And so certainly that also enriched my understanding of my
because you'd probably forget, you'd be like under pressure, oaks are riding hard in the front, you grinding, you're probably burning a lot more calories than you needed to. And if the thing's saying, hey, flow, often that's what a coach needs to do, is to say, calm down, you'll get back to them, they're riding too hard, flow, grit, effort. I mean, that's all part of the mix. And then that's genius in its own right.
Yeah, no, so certainly, I would be hard pressed to think of anything really negative to say about it. Again, my comparison was riding with the Phoenix, and so it does everything just better and more enjoyably. I never once had any problems recording something when I thought I wasn't, or vice versa. Okay. And it's just a superb device.
Do you find it picks up quickly? I mean, the output product, sometimes you're starting a ride and there's some guy standing saying, hang on guys, hang on, I'm waiting for connection. Yeah. Connects quickly.
That's a good question. We haven't spoken about that. Yeah. Again, I think I always find it's a bit unfair to blame the devices in a particular situation. Obviously, it might depend on GPS coverage, but you're quite right. Some just seem to be persistently better than others at picking that up. No, it's awesome. By the time I've got fairly limited coverage in my garage or up at the top of my driveway, and by the time I get to roll down to my gate, I'm completely located. So I know that the Garmin devices use multiple GPS technologies, and so certainly it's brilliant.
Game changer. So you don't. I assume you don't have a coach. If you do or not?
I don't.
So you literally just use your data.
Yeah,
whether you're indoors, outdoors, road bike, mountain bike, you just switch across and make sure that it's
old school. So I import everything into an Excel database, which I've been doing for many years, and it's. Certainly, this device, it's simple to make that happen.
So you just switch it from road to mountain, and then it just continues.
Yes, that's another point one can make. It enables you to set up multiple profiles, so that you can then choose, depending on which style of riding you're going to be doing. Let's say mountain versus road.
And you do gravel too?
You can
train
set up
indoors?
as many profiles as you want. And then you can have the data screens rotate to give you relevant information for that particular activity.
So someone who's intimidated, someone might think, well, it sounds awkward, it sounds like there's a whole lot of stuff there. Someone who's intimidated about tech, what's the simplest way for them to just work out how to use this thing and work out how to use the functionality?
It's a great question, Paul. When you switch it on, within 2 clicks of the buttons, you are on the first page that you've set up with your data. So literally, that's the answer to your question. Switch it on, hop on your bike and start riding. It shows you the information that you want very simply and very easily. And within a couple of rides and some time on it, you'll figure out, maybe I want to change things around, or there are new data fields. And also it pings you with interesting stats, and if those are relevant to you, then it's certainly, once you're off the bike, fairly simple measure of just picking up the...
Keep this...
Googling what it means, 100%. It's simple to do. Off-bike admin should typically be kept to a minimum.
Sure.
And certainly it's not a big chore to, after the ride, think, well, I want to change screens around or add a new field, whatever.
And then start comparing? I mean, when it comes to that thing we spoke about earlier, is am I going uphill at a lower heart rate or faster than I was at the previous ride on the same course?
Yeah.
When do you get to do that? How does that work? If someone wants to really analyze the data to see if they're improving. You know data well, but the average guy doesn't.
The simplest would be, it does have the ability to show your current performance on a course or a track that you've defined relative to a previous time when you've ridden it.
Yes.
It's almost a shadow rider, which is you.
Yes.
So that's obviously one very interesting and a very particularly fun way of tracking your progress.
Riding against yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
Chasing your shadow.
But look, Paul, certainly the data is all there. So if you want to look at your heart rate in real time on a climb relative to what it was before, or if you want to spend a bit of time after the ride, the richness of the information, as much time as you would want to dedicate to the topic, it's there.
It's all there.